Hello. Get my camera on. And my usual intro. Rock and roll pick top. Alright. This is my original Cort Effector. But real quick, I'm going to go over what a Cort Effector is. And the main thing that made it an effector was these buttons. Inside of here was a built-in preamp, which I might have handy here. I'm lucky. This is the one out of my original effector. It's missing the volume knob. Anyway, there you have it. It's basically circuits from a couple of pedals mounted onto one board, and back here you had a battery box. It would hold two 9-volt batteries, but I think you could run it with just one. I think it was a 9-volt circuit, but you could have two in there that'd last longer. So you had phase. And some of the descriptions I read called these phasing pickups. That's the original bridge pickup out of mine. I can tell because of the paint that's on it. For a while it had gray stripes. Well, for a while it had red polka dot. And yeah. Oh look, a free washer. The pickups have your two white and pink wires there. Which are coming off of the two coils there. And you had let's see what's on the other end. Two coils are just run straight into each other. Anyway, that phase switch may have been passive. It may have just gone ahead and put the pickups out of phase. The pickups themselves didn't have a switch. They were either active all the time or may have done various things based off of the pickups. I mean, off the preamp. Pickups were wired directly into the preamp. But anyway, there's your phase. There's your power on and off for the effects. I think you could run this passively. You know, if your batteries were dead or if you just wanted to disable the effects. This button's delay. Shows vibrato here, so I think that's, if you had both these active, it'd be vibrato. There's your chorus, and it shows a little thing there, which makes it appear like if you had those two active, it would go to wah. I don't know if this button did anything by itself or not. It's been since the early 90s when I used this last. And there's your distortion button, which is my favorite. Volume, tone, speed knob. Speed knob, change the effects. Yeah. That is an original effector, looks like. I can put it over here. That's actually an earlier model than mine. It came with a different tremolo. It was like a unit that would all fit down in that big hole. The effector I had came with a dual fulcrum tremolo. Not a Floyd Rose, like that's one of my mods. Let me see if I can bring up a picture of let's make a new capture window. Select window, photos. Okay. Make that a bit bigger. Alright. So this is an 86 Sears catalog. At it, they had the Explorer style then. I don't know a lot about them, except this was a rosewood fingerboard. I had one hanging in a pawn shop for at least 10 years. Hey, there's a Sensonics with a built-in preamp. My very first guitar, my sister got me when I was 14, but I call it a GSO, guitar-shaped object, because it was short scale and, well, it worked, but I consider this my first real guitar because this was a full-scale, full-size guitar. The built-in speaker on this style was kind of interesting. This has humbuckers, mine had single coils. But Mike Carmody, a friend of my sister's, discovered that if you put in your plug, it kind of worked it between, it was a stereo plug. If you got it in just right, it would play the built-in speaker and still go out to a stereo or an amp or whatever. And so I had it running into our boom box, and he did that, and all of a sudden it was like beating back like a Jimi Hendrix song or something, and that was fun. But yeah, this guitar is like that blue and black one. This is from the 86 catalog, and it had that style bridge, which would have been interesting, but this circular thing, I mean, well, it's not circular, but the piece of metal that surrounds the tremolo seems like, well, that underneath here, the springs for this are attached to that, and it seems like they all break in that section, and then they become unusable. Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, look, it even had a above the nut lock and fine tuners. Fancy. But I might be glad I didn't get that style because these tremolos were so prone to breaking. The one that's with that one is also broken. Here's the '88 catalog, and that's what this originally looked like. It's all black. Hardware was anodized black. Solid wood Cort Guitar with built-in effects lets you control distortion, phase, wah delay, vibrato, and chorus. 2 power sound high gain distortion pickups. Trying to look up the power sound pickups. They may have been what Ibanez was putting in their cheap guitars at the time. A lot of these companies kind of shared parts. Some necks were made by ESP for these kinds of guitars, and I don't know, this is a fucking awesome neck, and I wonder if it was an ESP neck. Yeah, this is my favorite neck I've ever played. Where are we? Built-in preamp, which is no longer in here. Full Action 2 tremolo. It's a 2-poster, sort of Strat style, had Strat style saddles. Volume, tone, speed knob. 5-bone knob fretboard. Black anodized hardware. $149 on sale. That was, according to Google, that's about $408, I think, now. Equivalent. Let's see. 12 pounds, 8 ounces. It's actually plywood, which a lot of the lower end guitars like Kramer Strikers, these were plywood. I don't really like plywood guitars. I swore I wasn't ever going to get another one, but I like this guitar. I know that on some of the, like, the descriptions changed over the years. You know, I don't know what this one here says. This is more truncated, but where's that caption? Pew. Delete that. We'll delete it later. Anyway, I know that at least one time that they said that it had a maple top, which, you know, obviously veneer, but I don't know how well you can see it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they had a veneered maple top. It's a very nice swirly pattern all through the wood. And it's looking kind of rough here. But it looks great when it's cleaned up. I took a pencil and drew in a Ouija board on it, which tends to, I clear coated it, but clear coat keeps wearing off. And then every so often I would redraw the things. Obviously haven't done that in a while. And I don't know if I'll redraw it again. One thing, starting to get, starting to get where it wants to go through the veneer. It's not very thick. So I don't really want to sand it again. And if I don't sand it, I can't really take the dark spots out. And it just, I guess, you know, nowadays this is relict. So probably just leave it this way. another guitar that I did this on, where I sanded the paint off the top and drew something on it. I clear coated that and baked it in my oven for a little while, and it is, that clear coat is hard as a rock. 20 some years later, no problems. Oh yeah, this Eminol fretboard. I love it. It's like rock hard, fast, slick. Apparently they're popular for basses, especially fretless, because they resist damage and stuff. This has been played like crazy. I have not taken it easy on it for 30 some years, and if I clean off everything, the fretboard basically looks new. I added a locking nut, which went ahead and upgraded to a Goto after instead of the one that I originally put on there. In early 90s sometime, I installed this tremolo. It's a licensed tremolo, right? Licensed Floyd Rose. Got it out of Musician's Friend. It's kind of quirky. Like these little dots here, those are like Strat-Style screw-in studs for, like, on a Strat saddle, you'd raise the height of your saddle with these. But on a Floyd, you lock this whole saddle piece down. It's hard against the base plate with these screws. So what happens is, I found out the hard way, if you raise your saddle a bit with this a bit loose, and then tighten that down, it bends the freaking fingers. So yeah, like, I've never seen these studs on any other Floyd styles of tremolo. I have no idea why they put them on there. Also, they drilled the holes here in different places in the saddles. So, see, some of these, the freaking thing is way the heck down. That's a block for an actual Floyd. And yeah, they ride way the heck down in there. But this thing, it's a 30-some-year-old, cheapest Musician's Friend licensed Floyd, which have a bad reputation. And I threw it out of tune. Let's see. It might not really be out of tune. definitely is out of tune. Which, of course, you know, because I'm doing this on camera, it's like that. We'll touch it. But I did a extended tuning stability test with this guitar, my Kramer 84, and a non-tremolo guitar, and did it for 2.5 months, and only barely touched the fine tuners a couple of times on any of the guitars. But yeah, what really gets these is string twist. When you're winding the string on, it'll tend to twist, and you lock this down, and you end up with a trapped torsional load. And so your guitar, you pick it up and it'll be out of tune, even though you tuned it before you set it down. Well, usually, if you give it good workout, then it'll pop back in tune. It's actually tuned better now than it was a minute ago. If you just pick up your guitar that's out of tune and you tune it, then what happens is, as you play, that stretches the torsion out. And when your guitar's out of tune, you have to tune it back to where you started. If you have locking tuners, you don't twist them around the post a lot. You're supposed to just pull it through, lock it, tighten it just enough to get up to pitch, so you don't get the torsional load on there in the first place. So anyway, yeah, it's embarrassing that I just did that and it went out of tune, because I was gonna say this has been staying in tune just as good as any Floyd that I've got, even though it's ancient and licensed. But all I actually had to do was tighten that string a little. Still, anyway, so other modifications. This is actually still the original neck pickup, which I like the sound of. So. It's got a nice burbly tone. And down here, I've got a DiMarzio Dual Sound Super Distortion. Dual Sound, as far as I know, is just a regular super distortion, except they used a 4-conductor wire, so you could wire them up for phasing or various things that you wouldn't be able to do with just a 2-wire pickup. At some point, I got this early on, maybe 91, 92. It was in Sparks Music for years, unless they kept replacing the same one and I just didn't know it. So, probably an 80s vintage pickup somewhere in there. That I wanted it for a long time, and I finally got it. And it's been in a lot of my guitars. but at some point it got damaged. Both coils were dead. And then earlier this year, I popped the coils off, started unwinding them until I got a reading, because I got, well, the wire came off once I got to the part where it was broken. And I could get a reading off of the wire that was left, so that I went ahead and did that on both coils. Then remounted, resoldered the wires onto a pickup wire, retaped and reassembled everything. And oh, I like it. It's my good old Super Distortion again. I don't know how many windings I took off. Might have been a couple hundred. Might have been less. I didn't count. I just went. There's no way they're equal length anymore. So now it's not a... I could say that it got broken and I fixed it, or I could say, oh, it's got unequal coils. Some people do that on purpose. But yeah, I love this pickup. Oops. Oh, yeah. Reminds me of an air raid siren. I love it. Or Godzilla. Yeah, I love this pickup. Currently got a EVH low friction pot that I bought early 2000s, but never got around to installing until beginning of this year. I actually have the package right here. Somewhere. Oh, yeah, one of these. 500K low friction pot. This freaking thing plus a gumdrop or orange drop treble bleed kit that I got from that guy. is freaking awesome. I mean, it's like no matter where I want, wherever I put this is always where I want it to be. You know, I don't have to like look down and go, oh, I want half volume. It's like just the taper of that pot is just perfect for my brain, that I just reflexively go wherever I want. Other pots I tend to be like, I end up going a little high, a little low, I have to fiddle with it a little. It's not a big deal, but I mean, it's often a conscious effort, and this is always reflexive. I've never had another pot that was just perfect. And the lead curve is just great too, because it doesn't get muddy when it's going down at all. Yeah, wherever I put the volume, it's always done the right tone adjustment for what I like. So the voice always stays just where I want it, no matter where I've got the volume. Circuits in some of my other guitars, not so much. Like, you know, treble bleed circuit is sort of like turns the tone up as you turn the volume down, so you don't get muddy. And yeah, that combination of those two is perfect as far as I'm concerned, and I want that kind of knob and that kind of circuit in every guitar. It's like once I've found that, I don't need any other combination. Yeah, I saw the Ibanez Voyagers on a magazine in the early 90s, and they have a sort of a cutout there, so I got a saw, cut that out. Originally this was up, you know, above the surface, but at some point I countersink it. You know, these things did not come with instructions, so you were just on your own, figure out how to put the locking nut on, where to put this, how to mount it. Oh, I changed to to real Floyd studs. The plate edges are still perfect, but these are a bit better quality. And other than this little bit of tuning instability I brought out of it earlier, it has been awesome. Got a detune on here. I need to add another put an extra shim plate on the bottom of this to come back and put more pressure up on this spring finger. It's got a little spring claws that push up on these, and the issue I have is when I have this out, when I do a big dip, You see it slide back in? So yeah. So it's fine. Ends up back in 10. So yeah, I need what I thought would work is putting another thing there that'll push up on that better. Well, maybe I could get a high tension spring for it. I didn't think about that. Because on my other Floyds, that doesn't happen. Let me see, anything else on here? After sawing this piece out, that became a nice place to put a pick holder. This guitar was black originally, then I did like some polka dots on it in various places. I had a little red. Somewhere I got a Playboy Bunny sticker. Oh, it was from a haircut place. They did tanning and stuff, and I guess you'd put those on to see how much your tan had changed. But they gave me one and I had it on there. It was red, and the red went with the red polka dots. But then I decided to take gray primer and put stripes across. And then as that wore off, I decided to get some tractor paint. Painted the whole thing tractor yellow, which I actually liked quite a bit. I had a smiley face in black on there. But the paint started at some point, you just kind of scratch it off with your fingernail. And so I scratched it all off. Sanded this off, did the Ouija pattern. It's been that way ever since. Let's see, what do we got going on back here? Oh, we got a custom Ouija neck plate. If I can get that to focus. Focus! Focus! Oh, there it goes. Yeah. Got that off of Reverb. Brass block, I think that's out of one of my Kramers. Brass spring claw. I like the way brass sounds in a... Why did that? I like the way brass sounds in the vibration chain. Sanded off the back of the neck. The black paint, like, get some sweat while you're playing or something, there's like squeak, squeak, it starts having friction issues. And, let's see, found that if you stripped off the paint, then you can like take a Brillo pad or some 400 grit sandpaper, and it just gets slick as a pool cue. You can actually add a little bit of talcum powder when you go, if you're going to be like on stage, and God, that is just so slick. It's great. What am I going to say here? Oh, when I did this, I had the palm of my hand like so, with the sandpaper in it, and just kept going. And really, it reshaped the neck to be perfect for my hand. It's not a dramatic difference. I didn't take a huge amount off, but it's enough to make a difference. So, like, this is my perfect neck. I don't know. Is there anything else of great interest? Oh, there's a 90s mod. Couldn't afford strap locks, but if you take a wood screw and set this a pop bottle or beer bottle cap on there on top of the strap button, give it a whack, it'll form the right dip in there, and then you can screw that down on there. I think I may have something in there to keep it from biting in. Some cork or something, I can't remember. You don't want it to chew through your leather. This strap, good lord, has to be 30 years old. There's one on the other one. Took out, when I rebuilt this earlier this year, I took out the box. I was going to put a thing over that, but I have not gotten to it. See some of the originals, the gray stripes, because I did it on the front and rear. I never took it off on here. It looks like maybe I didn't actually paint the back yellow when I painted the front yellow, but I would have thought I would have painted the whole thing. I don't know. One of the reasons I didn't ever install the this pot until this beginning of this year is I don't have any solid shaft pots. When I bought it, I didn't realize it was solid shaft. I got it home and it's like, I don't have any friggin' volume knobs. And then the ones that were available were, I don't like them. I really liked, I had some knobs kind of like this, but they had a band around there. That's one of them. They used to have these at like Dillon's. Oh, maybe it Sparks too, but in the little kiosk of like strings and stuff. So Dillon's is a grocery store, but they had some things for like guitar strings and stuff. A tiny little music section. Anyway, this is like a rubber grip that goes around. I love these, but I don't think they make them anymore. They have some that are like a rounded bit, but I don't want a O-ring. I want this little grip. I got a set of 4 of those, and that's one of the 4. Oh, but that reminded me that in that kiosk they also had these tremolo bars, and I wanted a Floyd so bad before I got one. Let's see. Oh, there's part of a locking that I made. Got something on there. So let's see how that went. for something here. Just a second. Oh, I know where it is. What I'm looking for. Well, I'll show this off. This was I made a locking nut. This is like, I don't know, MDF or something kind of like that I found in my dad's garage. I found this piece of metal that I think I must have drilled the holes and then used a saw to cut down to them. And then put that in there to make some friction to hold the strings in place. That's screwed onto the neck with those two holes, and then this plate would tighten down and hold the strings. And it worked to some extent. It was not as good as a real Floyd locking nut. I'll be right back. Oh, with this is just a regular knob that I carefully drilled out by hand because they tend to split when you try to drill them nut. So if I get to the end, I can actually keep turning that. Take this off for a minute. Here we have another Cort Effector. Oh yeah, I like mounting my straps on the back, like old Kramers. Dang thing keeps trying to unscrew. So I bought a second effector from a pawn shop, and I thought I'd do the same thing with the surface, but this is how the top looked. It is nothing like the nice swirly, curly maple top on the other one. There's some kind of nappy bit of wood there, and they like, I suppose, had a knot or something. They just cut it out, stuck another piece in. So yeah, that was not impressive. I put some wood filler on there, but it didn't work very well. This might have been the original block for the other one, because it has those red spots on it. I loaned this to a friend of mine for a couple years, and he kind of had his daughter mess about with it. I don't know why that's sawed off there. But what I wanted to show was this. This is the original tremolo that was on my guitar. The original plate. Tiny little studs. But that hole is egged out because I bought one of those bars, those Floyd Rose tremolo bars, and I wanted to install it in here. So on the block that I had in there, I don't know, I was using a different block, I guess, because this one is not destroyed. But I used a grinder to grind out enough area to put the bar in to install it. And then I ended up getting a hold of one of these, which is a locking nut that you put in front of the nut, and had that on there with the Floyd bar on my thing there. And I found, you could use the intonation screws here. If you turn to the right, it pulls back the saddle, which raises the pitch of the strings. Turn it left, it lowers it. So I would lock the strings and then use a screwdriver to tune my guitar using the screws here. But I actually liked this third-party tremolo bars better than the ones that they started putting on Floyd's that are real tall. It's a lot lower profile. So when I got this Floyd, I put the low profile style bar on there. When I actually got my first Kramer that had a Floyd on it, I used one of those bars. Yeah, I much prefer the other bars. So let me put this bad boy back. One feature of these was they had a hole there with a threaded stud in it, an insert, and then on the bottom of the neck there's a metal disc, so you could use that to change your neck tilt. BRB. Well, I think that's probably about it. Standard three-way switch, bridge, both, and net. Another issue caused by no instructions. And of course, this was long before Google was invented. Said I took this apart to clean it. Not a real long time after I got it. And I didn't know that these saddles are different heights. And that, well, I figured that out, but they're normally identical in pairs. The two outer ones are the same height. these two would be the same height as each other, and these two would be the same height of each other. And, you know, these are the lowest, these are a little higher than that, and then these two are the highest, so that you get your radius. And I didn't know that. So I took them off, and then it's like, how the heck do these things go back on? And these aren't in the right order. And I think I may have ground off the bottom of a couple of them to get them back right, because of course the adjustment screws are useless. They're not even supposed to be on there. And I think I put the shortest ones on this in both of them. Or try to, or ground those off or something. Let me see what we've actually got going on here. When I rebuilt it, it's like, oh man, I don't even want to open that can of worms, so I just went with how it was. So this could be better. Just figured I'd come back to that because it had been down for maintenance and in need of a rebuild for years. The plywood in here had started separating. Probably part of that was I did an experiment where I drilled into it this way to install some springs in there to try to give it some back pressure to try and stabilize it. I did a lot of crazy stuff on here. But yeah, it started separating, which weakened this, and I had to drill out some holes, put dowels in, and it took me a few tries to get that to work because the wood was coming apart so bad. It's sturdy now, I think. Well, it must be sturdy because it usually comes back into tune. What was I looking at here? I cannot remember. Sorry, it's very late. Oh, this radius. Yeah, that ain't right. Well, actually these strings actually seem to be following the right radius. It's really just that string is too high. Of course, it's screwed all the way down. I don't know if that one's bent. But that one is incredibly bent. I don't know if you can see, but right there is a big gap. So I could maybe bring that down just by flattening those again. See what our action is on that. Actually, I want to use a different measuring device. Which I do not see. So this is actually almost a whole 64th above this one, but all the rest actually seem just pretty much fine. So I guess, except for that top string, I did not a terrible job of getting them all the right height back in the day. Yeah, and bit of a problem because I don't know. I mean, these are all basically the right height, so if I so the only way to get that right is to take that one down. It's a little weird because you can't change the height on these normally. Although I could shim all the other ones up and then lower the whole thing. That'd be a job. And if I did that, I would have to re-intonate the whole thing. Let's not. That's a job for that's something to do during a string change. I think that's probably about it. I don't know if this counts as a mod, but 30 some years ago I decided that's where I wanted my strap, and I got tired of people changing it or sliding or whatever. I just duct taped it in that spot. Yeah, somebody asked about people's first guitars, and once I started doing things on Reddit, people occasionally post things about their first guitars, so I thought, yeah, I'd make a video of my guitar. Which, as beat up as it may look, even with that one string being a little too high, it plays great. There's that sliding issue there. Yeah, I've got to fix that. What the hell? programmed high string. After no pick toss. All right.